Grand Theft Auto is probably one of the most important, controversial, and highly regarded franchises in gaming history. And when it comes to the markets left on pop culture, look no further than San Andreas. So my memories of this game are extremely vague, mainly just watching my brother and his friends play it, and by the time I was old enough, we were already at GTA 5. And GTA 5 was great, but was mainly just a multiplayer sandbox to play with my friends instead of the whole clever and satirical storylines set in an open world that the franchise is known for. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Oh shit, here we go again.
GTA San Andreas was released for the PlayStation 2 in October 2004, with versions coming out in 2005 for Xbox and PC. The game was developed by Rockstar North, based out of Edinburgh, Scotland, with Dan Hoser, DJ Pooh, one of the people who wrote Friday, damn! And James Worrell in charge of the writing. GTA's trademark satirical, contentious comedy paired with the game's scale and the impressive voice cast, hosting the likes of Ice-T, Big Boy, Faison Love, Danny Dyer, Samuel L. Jackson, and Shaun Ryder.
Oh, you dirty I will pull you out.
Made the game an instant classic in gaming history, being nominated for 12 BAFTAs and winning 6 of them. The likes of Metacritic, GameSpot, IGN and PlayStation Magazine all gave the game a near-perfect score, with John Davidson of OneUp.com saying, "San Andreas is shocking, not necessarily because of its typically contentious subject matter, but because of the sheer scale of the experience. Is it really the best game ever made? Quite possibly, yes." San Andreas was also the best-selling PlayStation 2 game of all time, with 17.33 million copies sold on the console according to Guinness World Records in 2009, and 27.5 million copies sold across all consoles worldwide by 2011. So, to state the obvious, people liked the game. The story follows CJ returning to Los Santos in 1992 after 5 years in Liberty City due to the death of his mother. Upon arriving, CJ gets shaken down by corrupt police officer Frank Tenpenny and his henchmen, coercing CJ into business with the LSPD. Now back in his old stomping grounds, CJ reunites with his brother and sister as well as a few of his old gang member friends such as Big Smoke. The once great Grove Street families have become weak and splintered off, getting absorbed into other gangs. With his brother Sweet's help, CJ and Big Smoke take back Los Santos territory and merge with Varios Los Aztecas gang, making the Grove Street families great again. And of course, with success comes betrayal. It turns out Big Smoke and Ryder were responsible for the death of CJ's mother, and to make things worse, team up with Officer Tenpenny and the Ballas gang, ambushing and imprisoning Sweet and exiling CJ to the countryside. Bloody bastards. The game, to me, really starts at this point, with you having to build up your respect and contacts in the countryside, like Triad leader Wuzu Mu, as well as the Truth, back when liberals were the tinfoil hat people, and with the aid of the Triad and Cesaris infiltrating and destroying the Loco Syndicate, Smoke and Ryder's drug connect, killing Ryder in the process. CJ is then recruited by Mike Torino, the man behind the Loco Syndicate and government agent, to complete several shady favours that see Sweet released from prison. The lads bring back the Grove Street families and start taking back territory in Los Santos. All the while Tenpenny is arrested and then released due to a lack of evidence, leading to a full riot throughout the city. In the chaos, CJ tracks down Big Smoke, leading to a gunfight that CJ of course wins. In his last moments, Big Smoke admits that the money and power warped and distorted his morals. But alas, this isn't over yet. Tenpenny busts in, steals Smoke's money, and blows the place up. This fucking guy. Tenpenny then tries to escape via fire truck, fucks it, and then dies. The lads win. Job done, fellas. But no, seriously, the game has a fantastic story of betrayal and the consequences of losing yourself to money and power and forgetting where you came from and who you came up with. This paired with the story's thematic elements that borrow from pop culture, and in particular touch upon issues within African American culture in the 90s, bring a mature sensibility to the otherwise crass and shocking game. Like the Crash Division, the LA riots, the crack epidemic, and even Mike Torino being a secret government agent who runs a drug syndicate, essentially destabilizing Los Santos ready for the riots later in the game, mirrors the treatment of black people in LA during the 90s and makes San Andreas more than just a controversial and violent game.
See you around, officer.
One thing you may notice in this video is that I am playing the definitive edition, and after completing the game, I admit that that was a mistake. The PS2 port of San Andreas has such a vibey look with the orange fog, the almost turquoise sky, and even those TV lines you slightly see when a character moves. It's an aesthetic that's linked to the PS2 era, and I now realise this aesthetic is completely dissolved by the definitive edition, making the game just look like a worse version of GTA 5. The character of the game is completely lost, and I should have just pimped out the OG on a PS2 emulator, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, I guess. Now finally we can talk about the actual gameplay, and what this game lacks in terms of modern gaming features like a first-person view, online, saving vehicles, and expansions that keep the game relevant. San Andreas' sheer number of things to do make up for this, and as far as I can tell is the most diverse game when it comes to quirky, ultimately pointless, but satisfying activities. Like working out, eating to get huge, getting too huge, working out more, boxing, racing, driving a taxi, motorbike trials, going on a Bonnie and Clyde robbing spree of a kleptomaniac, you rob a house, find a weird kink room, to even stealing a fucking jetpack. Like damn. And I'm sure this is a case of me not exploring other GTA games enough in the past, but there is so much to do in between the main missions that gives you a reason to see all of the map, and makes the world feel lived in. Speaking of maps, GTA San Andreas has the second biggest map behind GTA 5, coming in at 31.55 square kilometers, which for a PS2 game is so impressive. Now, given most of that is roads and brown countryside, but the sheer scale of the game, and in 2004 no less, is mind-boggling. Until you find out about true crime, but moving on. Another thing that can't go unmentioned is the radio stations, as it's a massive part of each GTA game, with songs like Candy, Hollywood Swinging, Love Roller Coaster, Between the Sheets, Poison, and Running Away standing out to me in particular, as they have such a laid-back, cool sound to them that, when paired with the open roads of San Andreas, creates a vibe that so many open-world games try to create, but is uniquely GTA. And with the variety of the different stations, I'm sure your favourite songs will differ to mine, which is great and makes the game even more personal. Ultimately, the actual gameplay isn't all that different from the games that followed it, although removing the auto-aim feature from Vice City was a good move. But at the end of the day, it's GTA, and it's more the little quirky features on top that make the game unique.
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda.
So, is this the best GTA game? Not having any nostalgia for the game that would affect my decision, I think. From what I can remember of playing half of GTA 4, despite improvements in graphics and a different story, they are pretty much the same, minus all the extra bits San Andreas has. GTA 5 does add loads of new features that are good, like being able to save and spawn your cars, FPS mode, and the dynamic of switching between characters, which I thought was cool. But the story itself never really dragged me in, and I still don't remember there being as many things to do, but I haven't played it in a while to be fair. San Andreas' story was surprisingly thoughtful as well as edgy, which made the divisive jokes hit harder. The music, the side missions, the poignant end the game has. You know what? It might be.